Celebrating Dan. Celebrating the life of Dan.
What's your favorite memory of Dan? Okay, I'll come back to you.
No, I just...
Oh, she's fooling
We used to trade blow pops. His favorite was the grape ones and mine were the cherries. So every time we'd get blow pops, we would do a little trade.
The most vivid memory of Dan that I have is during Hurricane Harvey. He used our 18-wheeler. We collected donations from the community, and Dan, with the help of the military escort, took that 18-wheeler full of supplies to Houston for Hurricane Harvey victims, and then came back and took 2 more loads, all on his own time. Stood out there and loaded the trailer himself. That's just the kind of guy that he was.
Every day when I worked here, we used to go get lunch and he'd be like, bye-bye, you fly. So we would always have lunch together.
What a deal.
Yeah, I called him my adopted grandpa. So
The memory of Dan is when he would take my daughter on tractor rides. I just love when he bullied everybody. Everybody. Everybody.
How long did Dan work for you?
He worked here at Emerald Coast for 11 years, but he was part of our organization for 15 years.
What did Dan do at Harley?
He was our facilities manager for a long time. He delivered bikes, he drove the 18-wheeler, he did a little bit of everything.
Man, how many times did he bail you out of jail?
Enough. I played the fifth.
Yeah, I got a fever. It's 103.
Love you, Dan.
Dan is always having him walk up, give me a big hug, and say, "What's up, trouble?" You'll definitely be missed.
My favorite Dan story would probably be going in the back when I first started to find something, and I remember somebody yelling at me from across the shop back there in the warehouse, "What are you looking for?" And I told him, and he was just grumpy, and I said, "Well, what is your name?" And he said, "Dan." And I said, "Well, I'm going to call you Grumpy Dan instead of Danimal." So for the longest time, I called him Grumpy Dan. And if you didn't know Dan when you first met him, he was usually grumpy. But once you got to know him, he had a heart of gold. And there's not anything he wouldn't do to help you.
I was drinking Pepsi.
Pepsi was Dan's favorite drink. It was the only thing he drank. So we're going to drink it today for him.
For our organization for 15 years. He worked here at Emerald Coast Harley since day one, since we bought the store. And Dan, to me, was so much more than a team member. He was a great friend, and I trusted him as much as I trust anybody in the world. So much so that he was one of 3 people on the emergency contact list for our kids. That's how much trust and faith I had in Dan. You're not going to want to hear this, but I'm going to tell you. Because that's just who he was. He gave a shit, and I appreciate the hell out of that. He cared about the business. He cared about the people that worked here. And he cared about people that he encountered out in the community. And it's good to see folks here that we hadn't seen in a while, that Dan had an impact on your life. Is it Pepsi? For those of you that knew Dan, he didn't go to the restroom without a cooler of Pepsi. And they don't make them like him, that's for sure. So here's to Dan.
Dan, when I first met him, I was 21 years old. I just started working at the dealership and started having a friendship, and he really helped me out in the hardest part of my life. Dan took me in. I actually lived on his couch in his 500 square foot apartment for about 6 months. It was to be a father. Taught me what family was when I didn't have any. Never forget that, and I'm very, very grateful for him for teaching me that. Never be another person like Dan.
Appreciate it, Kate.
Do our grass, and Sarah said, I'm going to send Dan to see you. He's a little hard around the edges, but I'm going to send him to see you. And of course, I'm a nonprofit, so I was looking for cheap. And he says to me, all right, I'm going to do it for $500 a month. I had been paying $15, okay? You tell anybody, and it's done.
Tell everybody that I was the only person he was afraid of. Dan might have been the only person that I was afraid of. He was moody like a teenager. Dan and I kind of leaned on each other a lot over the 10 years. He loved our kids like they were his own grandkids. Loved me like a daughter, us like a son.
what? Dan always had something to say. He let me hug him because I'm a big hugger, and he wasn't a big hugger, and he would always let me hug him. And I loved him so much. But yeah, he was rough around the edges. But he did drink his Pepsi, and every time I wanted to get him food, when he got sick and went in the hospital, and we were sending him food, and he's like, y'all don't have to send me any food. Y'all don't have to send me any food. And we kept doing it. No, we had DoorDash, and one time he called me up and he said, I didn't get my lunch. And I said, why didn't you get your lunch? And he said, I don't know. It's not out there by the thing. They would leave it by the door. And I said, well, Dan, I sent it to you. And he said, well, I didn't get it next door. So he went and got it from the next door. But he didn't need anything, but he was calling me to see where his lunch was.
My favorite Dan story, showed up to work and Dan had gotten hit, was trying to grind a stump, and the stump grinder flew off and hit him in the leg. And Dan was really tough, so Dan never went to the doctor. And I roll in and I said, Dan, get in the car, we're going to the doctor. And he said, okay, because he was in that much pain. We get to the doctor, to get to the ER, and he proceeds to tell the ER that I hit him with a baseball bat. Not realizing he's old enough for it to be considered elder abuse because he's over 65 at the time. And so they have a very serious conversation with the both of us. And he thought that was the funniest story on the planet. I would tell everybody that.
Did they file a police report?
They did not, thank God. They realized pretty quickly after they were like, sir, do we need to ask her to leave the room? And he's like, you can say whatever you want in front of her. And then proceeded to have that conversation.
We're here to celebrate Dan, life of the party, if he ever showed up. Just please watch over our riders that are here to celebrate Dan. Let's do everything that we do in your name. Amen.
God rest his soul, Dan.
I will see through eternity. So long, so long, so long, so long. I'll see you someday. So long, so long, so